Boker Tov, good morning. We continue with our 3-minute daily dose of Torah, looking at the challenging words of Datan and Aviram. They're the allies of Korach, who join with him in this rebellion that happens in the parasha. And they say something which is pretty awful if you pay attention to it. Hama'at, they say it was bad enough. Ki helitanu me'eretz zavat chalabu devash lahamitenu b'midbar. That you brought us out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness. You keep on lording yourselves over us. Basically, that's just that last part. But you haven't brought us to a land flowing with milk and honey. But nor did you give us nachalat sadeh v'charem, etc. You haven't given us the place of inheritance. How do you pin down this line of comment on their part? And when has this event actually happening altogether? It's the opinion of the Ibn Ezra, who says that Parshat Korach, the events of Korach, actually happened earlier, at the time of the flip from the firstborns to the Levium, and that explains why some of the energy around the disappointment and unhappiness around roles might be percolated up. And so this happened earlier and is placed over here. But if we accept it where it is, you should just hear the horribleness of what it is that Datan and Aviram are saying. Firstly, they choose to take the terminology which God has used again and again and again to define the land of Israel, and say that was Egypt. You took us out of a land flowing with milk and honey. And then they say, and you haven't brought us. You failed us, because you haven't brought us to a land flowing with milk and honey and given us our inheritance. And if anybody was paying attention to Parshat Shalach, the previous Parsha, and if this indeed happens after the story of the Meraglim, we know the answer. The answer is that Moshe desperately wanted to bring them to the land flowing with milk and honey and to give them an inheritance. And it's the people who blew it. The people who blew it. And what in effect the Datan and Aviram are doing is reframing everything in a very short amount of time. It is not it's not our crying and hand wringing and the acts of the spies, but it's somehow Moshe's failure of leadership that's left us here in this wilderness to vulgar around and circle around. That's the cynicism, the cynical nature of what they do, and we still see this to this very day, where we know who's to be blamed for when certain events happen in the world, and somehow or another quickly the narrative is shifted, and people are left scratching their heads. Oh, how did that come to be? Maybe you're the one who's at fault and not these people. And no, just pay attention to the facts. But in a short amount of time, people can have their heads turned away from the realities that are, with the claims that are made. That's the danger of the actions and the words of Datan and Aviram, and the cynical nature of what they have to share. Wishing you a good day as we continue to analyze this complicated story. Tomorrow we'll pick up another element, another angle of the story indeed.